5522. 904-274-5522.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
So much so that I had to ask around. I'm like, hey, I'm kind of a nice guy, right?
Hacker is an ass.
I try, as I'm getting into my old age at 39 years old, try not to let things bother me. Just know that I'm ultra soft.
And he doesn't shy away from opinions.
See Baker Mayfield throw 4 passes, but I get to see this homeless guy return a ball for a touchdown.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you on our late night show. Where else? Are you kidding me, man? Where else would you rather be than right here, right now, at 10:01 Eastern Standard Time on a Tuesday night than with Dylan Denmark and yours truly on Hacker After Dark? And we certainly appreciate you taking time out with us this evening. The cuts are in, or at least the initial round of cuts are in for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Couple of surprises. We'll get into those in a moment. Had the chance to go down to practice earlier today and catch up with Jaguar linebacker Chad Muma. And I'm going to ask him, on the outside we talk about cut down day, but what's it like in that locker room? What's it like when, 30, 35 plus guys that you've been practicing with, in team meetings with for the better part of the last 3-4 months get cut today? Probably a surreal moment, probably kind of I don't know if I'd go as far as say sad, but it's a humbling moment for a lot of guys today around the National Football League. So we'll talk to Chad Muma, Jaguar linebacker, about that. He's coming up in less than 10 minutes. Also Tate Casey, former Gator tight end. He's now the sideline reporter on the Gator Radio Network. We will play his conversation that we had as Florida and Utah, less than 48 hours away out in Salt Lake City. Brent Beard coming up as well tonight, and the high school spotlight. And what a day it was for Duval County Public Schools with the uncertainty of the storm and the path. Well, the games are going to be postponed. And then an hour later, well, maybe they're not going to be postponed. And then an hour later, well, maybe we are actually going to play some of these games on Friday night. Who knows what really is going to happen yet? The one thing I think we do have a little clarity on is one of the big games of the week, Bowles and Mandarin, looks like it will happen on Friday night. You'll hear that game right here on 1010XL. We'll have the head coach of the Mandarin Mustangs, Toby Bullock, up with us on the high school spotlight. That comes up in the 11 o'clock hour. But we're glad you're with us on a Tuesday. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, a couple of things really stand out about the cuts earlier today. Tough decisions, man. Tough decisions. We talked about earlier this week, at the end of last week, I think 5 or 6 of the guys that got cut today in Jacksonville will be on different NFL teams by the end of the week. Jacob Harris, you hated to see him go. It was a numbers game at wide receiver. Same thing for Seth Williams. A numbers game at wide receiver. Maybe the biggest surprise was Garrett Prince, right? The tight end who had such a great start to camp. You thought it was a foregone conclusion the Jaguars were going to keep 4 tight ends. That is not the case, as Garrett Prince was cut earlier today. So the Jaguars are going to go in with Brenton Strange, of course, Evan Ingram, and Luke Farrell. And then other guys, that I guess maybe not surprises, but ones that you could have very easily seen making the roster a few weeks ago. Kevin Austin, Jordan Smith, just to name a few, Snoop Connor. I mean, for the first time in a long, long time here in Jacksonville, the Jaguars had some really tough decisions to make. The final guy that was released, Blake Hance, he was released at like 3:55 this afternoon to meet that 4 o'clock deadline. I was a little surprised about that. I think that might be a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're going to bring you back in some way, shape, or form. We just had to do this for the deadline. I think Adam Gostis, right? The same thing happened with Gostis maybe last year. They cut him for a day and then brought him back. I mean, Blake Hance right now, Doug Peterson alluded to as much earlier in training camp. Actually, it was last week. Blake Hance is your swing offensive tackle right now. With the Cam Robinson suspension, right? You got Walker Little at left. You got Anton Harrison at right. Josh Wells is injured. Blake Hance would be your swing offensive tackle. So I think at some point you got to bring him back, and I would be surprised if Hance isn't back with the team in some capacity tomorrow or Thursday. But it was a tough day, certainly. I mean, around the NFL, you had, 1,100? Almost 1,200 guys cut. 37 players on all 32 NFL teams. I think we added that up last week. It was 1,184 guys officially released at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So a tough day all the way around. And we always talk about how tough it is on the outside, right? The media, you, the fans. Well, what about in that locker room? What about guys that know they're going to make the team, but know 30, 35 guys that they've battled with for the last, 3 to 4 months of the offseason were released today? What was it like down at the Jaguars training facility at the Miller Electric Center after practice today? Practice ended right about 4 o'clock. I was down there, had the opportunity to catch up with Jaguar linebacker Chad Muma. I'll ask him about that. We'll also talk about a lot of things coming up as far as the roster, year 2, the Indianapolis Colts next week. I think you'll find Chad Muma very enlightening. It was the first time I've really had the chance to speak with him. I was very impressed. Let's bring you that conversation. Chad Muma, earlier today, after Jaguar practice here on Hacker After Dark. Jaguar practice wrapping up on a Tuesday here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Ryan the Hacker Green with Jaguar linebacker Chad Muma. Chad, interesting day here, obviously, as the cuts came down. Your second year with this. We always talk about it on the outside. How tough is it, though, on the inside, seeing, 30-plus guys that you went to battle with over the last couple of months get let go today?
No, it's extremely tough, especially because you build those relationships with those guys, especially the newer guys that come in and, have a good camp and then, unfortunately, aren't with the team. But, we're excited with the guys that we have, and, what we have is what we need right now. And so, we're just all excited that we have the Jaguars put together right now.
Year 2 for you. Biggest differences 12 months ago to now in your game?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is just I feel like the speed of the game has slowed down quite a lot. Going year 1, there's a lot of new things. You don't really know how the schedule is going to work, how game day is going to be, how practice is going to go. And so I think going into a year 2, you eliminate all those things, and it allows you to focus on the game a little bit more. So the speed of the game is a little bit faster. You're able to recognize and diagnose plays quicker. You don't have to think as much about what your job is because you know what your job is, and you're just able to go out there and play.
One of the big topics here, and I'm sure you know this, Chad Muma, Trayvon Walker, Devin Lloyd, a lot of fans, media think you guys are going to take a big jump from year 1 to year 2. Is that what you expect when you have conversations with Devin and Trayvon going from year 1 to year 2, that big jump we always talk about?
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. And kind of like what I just alluded on with all the eliminating all those distractions, I think that, it really allows guys to play fast. And, seeing Devin and seeing Trayvon throughout this training camp, they've really improved their game, whether it was through the offseason or up until now. They continue to work it and continue to improve it. And just the talks that we have in the meeting room, just the knowledge that they've advanced themselves to is tremendous as well. So I'm looking forward to this year.
Boy, against this offense, man, iron sharpens iron. We look out there and we see Trevor and we see Christian and Calvin and Travis, Evan, Zay. My goodness, man. What's it like to go against these guys every day?
Like you said, they got weapons all over it.
There's not one position group that doesn't have someone. And so being able to compete against them every single day, whether it's through 7-on or team, we're working together, iron sharpens iron. You're really able to elevate your game, especially when people get competitive out there, keeping everyone safe. But at the same time, we're getting that work in. And, if someone has a bad play, they're like, hey, thank you for doing that for me so I can see what not to do there. Or if someone makes a great play, vice versa, the same thing. So I think it's just great to have that competition.
tough loss for the linebacker room with Ventrell. What do you tell a young guy like that? I mean, you're young. You're only in year 2, but a little more experienced than Ventrell. What do you tell a young kid like that when he comes back?
Yeah, it's extremely painful to see someone go through like that, especially leading up right before week 1. And Ventrell has a lot of potential, and he's a great player. And so we were just all very sad after the game, but just told him to keep his head up and stay in the film room now, because he's going to miss out on all those reps, but he has the opportunity now to really elevate his game, whether it's in the film room, really learning other teams' offenses, learning how to study in the NFL, and then just continue to prepare himself to get better and get back for next year.
Doug Peterson, Mike Caldwell, your second year with them. You like where we're at with the coaching staff? I mean, your second year with Mike Caldwell, you got to be pretty excited about what he's bringing to the table.
No, I really am. In our meeting room early on in OTAs, we kind of joked about, last year we were in pre-algebra, and this year we're in algebra now. So it's definitely true, and kind of the things that we're implementing in our defense, and I'm excited to show what we have going come week 1.
As we begin to wrap up, you're not immune to this. I know we don't talk about expectations, or at least all the teammates of yours I've talked to. We try not to talk about that. But the fans are excited. The city's excited. What you guys did last year was special. You add Calvin Ridley. You add this rookie class, more experience for guys like you. You sense that excitement in this city, correct?
No, definitely. You can definitely feel it, and I definitely felt it in our first preseason game, our first home game here. And, I'm excited for us Jaguars. I know our expectations are set super high, and so I'm excited for us to go out there and achieve those.
Final question. The games finally count next week as you guys get ready to go to Indianapolis. That means a big quarterback and Anthony Richardson. How excited are you to get out there and finally get this thing rolling in 2023?
Super excited. It's been a long time coming ever since, that loss in the playoffs last year. We've been thinking about, this season and how we can improve this year. And it starts, not this weekend, but in a couple weekends. And just looking forward to it. I know that guys are super excited. Juices are going to be flowing, and we're ready to go out there and start hitting.
I'm not sure how many Wyoming Cowboy fans we have. I know we got one in front of me right now. How's the team looking this year?
They're looking good. I've been talking to the defensive coaches, and they said their defense is looking really good this year, and that the team's probably have the most talent they've had in a while. So looking forward to seeing those boys play and get after it and try and go get that Mountain West championship.
And how about you? Healthy going into week 1?
Healthy, coming off a little camp overuse injury that we just been resting a little bit, but getting back from that, and I'll be good to go.
Chad Muma getting ready for Indianapolis next Sunday. Chad, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
There you go, Chad Muma. Really enjoyed that conversation earlier today after Jaguar practice. I think that gives you a little insight, right? I mean, they've dealt with a lot. They're getting ready for Indianapolis. You just cut 37 of your teammates, some of which you've known for at least a year in Chad Muma's case. And, oh, by the way, in the linebacker room, we find out Ventrell Miller out for the year with an Achilles. So you got to throw a lot at these guys right now, and then soon it'll be full steam ahead to Indianapolis. But the guys did kind of get hit with a lot. From all indications, it was a good practice, and we'll see what happens. Again, they're going to get back out on the field, I believe, on Thursday, and then they have, I think, some time off over Labor Day weekend, and then bam, next Monday, you get into your normal Monday routine as the games begin counting a week from Sunday up in Indianapolis, Sunday, September the 10th. So, again, thank you to Chad Muma for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. More on the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up later on in the program, but we are now officially inside of 48 hours. 48 hours away, less than that, to the Florida Gators and the University of Utah. They kick it off in Salt Lake City, 8 o'clock Thursday night. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Pregame coverage begins at 5 o'clock. So a reminder, Hacker After Dark will not be on Thursday. We're off because of the Florida and Utah game, and we're certainly looking forward to hearing that broadcast with Sean Kelly and the Gator Radio Network. Speaking of that Gator Radio Network, Tate Casey, former Florida Gator tight end. He's the sideline reporter on the Gator Radio Network. He's always kind to us here on Hacker After Dark. We're going to get Tate on to talk Florida, Utah, Billy Napier, and Tate had kind of a starring role, if you will, in Swamp Kings, the Netflix documentary that debuted last week. So we'll get into all of that with Tate Casey next. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us on our late night show. It is a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, and you got it locked on to Hacker After Dark right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Hi there, I'm Steve Spurrier on 10XL, 92.5 FM.
1010XL.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Hey everybody, August is here, and you know what that means. It's the official start of Fantasy Football Drafting Month. This is Mike Dempsey, inviting you to get championship ready for your home league by trying out best ball leagues on Underdog Fantasy. All you do is one live snake draft with no waivers and no trades, and Underdog will set your best lineup every single week. Try it out with Underdog's Best Ball Mania tournament. The largest fantasy football contest of all time is back and even bigger, with $15 million of total prizes up for grabs, including an absurd $3 million going to the winner. Last year, the winner drafted their team in July, so don't wait around. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. Sign up with promo code 1010XL to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code 1010XL. You must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Jim Kelly, Warren Sapp, and 1010XL's Pro Bowl offensive lineman Leon Searcy. Hurricane history is loaded with superstars.
Find out what you need to know about the Canes on the Performance Painting Hurricane Report
on 1010XL.
As your favorite football teams gear up for the season, so is the team at River City Lighting on Phillips Highway. Come in this week during their moving sale and score big-time savings with everything 40 to 70% off. This moving sale includes all lighting, fans, mirrors, fountains, and artwork. Hurry in today for the best selection and find the lights of your dreams at River City Lighting and the Fan Man on Phillips Highway, just north of 295.
Hurricane season is here, and if you own or run a business, you must protect your valuable property from parking lot floods. Call Duck Duck Rooter, your storm drain maintenance experts. Our VACCON team specializes in regular storm drain maintenance to keep your property safe and secure. With Duck Duck Rooter, you can trust our professionals to keep your storm drains clear, preventing floods and ensuring the well-being of your customers and employees. Call us today at 904-862-6769 to schedule your storm drain maintenance. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com for more information.
Summer's winding down, and we know you want to enjoy what's left of it. But before you celebrate this Labor Day weekend, plan ahead and know all your options. If you drink, don't get behind the wheel. Instead, designate a sober driver or catch a ride service. And if you are the designated sober driver, commit to staying sober. Celebrate responsibly and remember to drive sober or get pulled over. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
The First Coast has voted. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is proud to be chosen as Bold City's best in the orthopedic practice and physical therapy and rehab centers categories once again. For the last 29 years, JOI has continually strived for the highest level of orthopedic surgery and rehab care. As the needs of the community evolve, so will they. That's why coaches, parents, and athletes choose JOI. Call them at JOI 2000 or visit JOI.net. JOI, where the pros go.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. 1 week from tomorrow night, year number 2 of the Billy Napier era in Gainesville gets underway. It will be Florida. It will be Utah. The game will be heard right here on 1010XL Radio in Jacksonville. And the man you will hear on the Gator sidelines for the Gator Radio Network is a man that played tight end at the University of Florida. That's our friend Tate Casey, who's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Tate, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Tate, we're good. I trust your off season went well. And before we get into Billy Napier and before we get into everything that goes on with the 2023 Florida Gators, Tate, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but Netflix did a documentary about your team back in 2005 to 2008. You may have heard of it, Swamp Kings. First and foremost, the fact that you have a starring role in some of the episodes aside, what did you make of the documentary and just the whole process that went into going into making that documentary?
Yeah, I think after getting a chance to sit down and watch a few episodes last night for the first time, my phone was kind of blowing up throughout the day, and unfortunately at that point I hadn't had a chance to see any of it. So it was nice to get the kids home from practices last night and grab a cocktail and enjoy a few episodes and see how it turned out. But I was really excited to see how they portrayed that team and the work that went into it. I think a lot of the conversations when they approached us about the thought of doing a documentary of Urban's era was really surrounding the highlights and the the work ethic and the team mentality that went into those championships. And so I thought they kind of stayed on brand with that. And for us, it's good to see a little bit more of the good things that were going on during our tenure.
It's interesting. I think if you're a Gator fan, you love the documentary, or you at least appreciate it. Those of rival fan bases have kind of ripped it a little bit today. Why didn't you talk about this topic more, or that topic more? And most of those topics were the variety of off-the-field topics. As a whole, do you think they portrayed your team, the team you were on back in the Urban era, well in that documentary?
Yeah, I mean, as far as football is concerned, absolutely. And to those, I understand that there's people that really, especially opposing fan bases, they want it for that dirt. They want to go deeper into, certain things. But when you look at it, there's nothing out there that hadn't already been told, right? And so when you look at a lot of the off the field stuff, certain situations, it's already been, hammered home by almost every news outlet and media outlet out there. And so for us, I think that being able to tell the story of what that team was, what we were about, behind the scenes, the workouts, the mat drills, the winter workouts, two-a-days and the preparation, it really boiled down to the mentality and the toughness, the mental toughness of that team. And I think they did a really good job of explaining some of the emotions, some of the pressure, some of the stresses, not only from a player standpoint, but, from a coaching standpoint in certain situations. So, I think for us as players, and like I said, Gator fans will probably love it a lot more than opposing fan bases, but I'll never knock any documentary about championship caliber teams and the struggles that they went through getting to that level, because there's a lot that goes into it.
Former Florida Gator tight end Tate Casey here with us. He's the Gator sideline reporter on the Gator Radio Network. He was also featured prominently in the Swamp Kings documentary on Netflix. Tate, a couple more thoughts on the documentary. the mat drills were crazy, man. I think people in the media and fans, we hear mat drills, and we don't really know what that means. Good grief, we know what it means now. Between that and the midnight lifts, I guess, that you guys did back in the day, I mean, that was insane, right? When you think back about those times, college athletes just don't do that sort of thing anymore.
Yeah, and even when you look at it back then, I had buddies that played college football elsewhere, and guys that played at UF that had teammates in high school elsewhere that weren't doing that kind of stuff. And we kind of took it to a whole new level. It was a little bit maniacal in a sense, but I think that for us as players, we recognized pretty soon that nobody's out here doing this. Like, at 4 a.m. going to mat drills and some of the work that was being put in, the midnight lifts and the St. Valentine's Day massacre workouts and stuff that we did. The best part about it was, being done at 2:30 a.m. on a Saturday or a Friday or whenever it was the feeling that there's nobody else in the country right now doing this. Right? This is the feeling of we're putting more work in than anybody else in college football. And, whether that's true or not, that was our mindset, right? And it's really what drove us each time we approached those workouts. And at first, that 05 spring, when Urban first got there, I think it was more maniacal than anything. And in 06, it was like, oh, this is the standard. This is what our standard is. Like, you don't complain about it. You show up, do it, get it done. And that's what drove us to compete, and that's what made us what we were.
I thought Brandon Seiler had a starring role as well in this documentary. I was really, quite frankly, entertained by some of the stories that Seiler said. And the one thing is, the Champions Club, right? I think we all heard about the Champions Club, but we didn't really know. So is that true? I mean, if you were in the Champions Club, you had waiters and waitresses bringing you steak and lobster and whatever.
Crab legs.
And if you weren't, you had to go get your own hot dog and hamburger and sit at another side of the cafeteria.
Yeah, and I think that, there's a lot of conversation about that. I've had people, I've seen online people say certain things about it, like it was preferential treatment. But what people have to understand is it's not that it was just picked, right? You made Champions Club, you didn't. There was a criteria. There was a bar that was set. There was goals that you had to hit. Whether it was going to class, attendance, certain things like that, actually your workout performances, your voluntary workout, attendance, certain things like that. And there was criteria to meet. And so the whole purpose of that was there's a winner and a loser. And I think that if you've been around Urban Meyer long enough, if you've heard enough of our team talk and media appearances and everything else, there was always a winner and a loser. Whether it was off season, whether it was in the season, whether it was 7-on-7 during practice, right? Team period, inside drill, always a winner and a loser. And that was really hammering that point home. And to the point where guys would get pissed if they did not make Champions Club. And I've only got a handful of shirts left from college, whether they've been blown through or torn and holes in them. But those Champions Club shirts are about the only ones I've got left. And it is an award, man. It's one of those things that you prided yourself on being a part of. And, if you weren't a part of it, it ticks you off to the point where you want it to be. So it's just one of those things. That helps set the bar and the expectation that was there from a coaching perspective. And those leaders really, really kind of demanded everybody lived up to that bar.
Former Florida Gator tight end Tate Casey here with us. We will get to the 2023 Gators in 1 second. Final Swamp King's thought, the documentary on Netflix. Tate, obviously there's an opinion here in Jacksonville from the fan base and, quite frankly, most of the media about Urban Meyer from the way it transpired 2 years ago. There's an opinion among Gator Nation about the way he exited the program at the University of Florida. But tell me if I'm wrong. In talking to former players that played for Urban Meyer in Gainesville, yourself included, I've talked to many of your former teammates over the years, there is a healthy respect among former players for head coach Urban Meyer even to this day. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. And, unfortunately, we all make our decisions, right? And we all make our beds and live with our decisions. I think there's plenty of things that all of us would take back in certain decisions in our lifetime. And, nobody could foresee what happened in Jacksonville with Urban. I don't think anybody could really forecast what was happening with UF and that departure. And unfortunately, it happened the way it did. But in our minds as players and guys who've been around him, and as a human and the approach he had with his team, he is one of those guys that would love you, right? I mean, he'd do anything in the world for his guys, and those that put the same amount of respect into the process and the program as he did. And the one thing I always tell people is Urban would ask you to do some things, and I mean, like, he would almost have you come outside of yourself to achieve things that you never thought you possibly could. But he would never ask you to work harder than he was working in his office, right? He was one of those guys that was watching film till 2 a.m, sometimes 3 a.m, sleeping in his office. And for us as players, as opposed to just a demanding coach who wanted the world from you, but it was all on you, he was one of those guys that demanded as much out of himself. And so it made that reciprocation a lot more willing as an 18 to 22-year-old to go out and really, do every single thing, to buy in every single workout and put every bit of energy you had into it. And I think sometimes he'll rub people the wrong way, but the ones that he's close with and those guys that he was around that put their whole effort into it, I think there's a huge respect. Because, you give me a nice coach that's a loser, or, a guy that some people can't tolerate that just all he wants to do is win. I mean, that's what we're here for. And, that's all we wanted to do was win. And we had a taste of losing, and it's not really a lot of fun. I'm going to tell you what, there's nothing better than winning.
There's no doubt about that, and the Florida Gators did a lot of that with Urban Meyer. Final moments with Tate Casey, a tight end for the University of Florida. He's on the documentary Swamp Kings there on Netflix, and a week from tomorrow, Tate, you will be in Salt Lake City, Utah, on the sidelines for the Gator Radio Network as Florida kicks off their 2023 campaign against the University of Utah. Tate, your thoughts on Billy Napier and the Gators heading into 2023?
Well, I'll say this, Florida has had really a rough go-around in the first year of transition. I think there was plenty of good. I think there was plenty of things to improve upon last year. But the one thing that I've noticed most about Billy Napier and this staff and, the process that's going on at UF right now is the recruiting, right? We've seen a lot of guys talk about it. You see a lot of what he's doing on the recruiting trail right now. And then you get a glimpse of some of these younger guys in two-a-days in practice that are kind of turning a corner. And I think when you sprinkle that in with some transfer portal action, you're going to see a completely different mentality, but also a completely different mesh when it comes to offense and defense next year.
The thing about Florida is, and the Gator fans as well as anybody, you played there, you now cover the team for the Gator Radio Network. They don't have a lot of patience, right? I mean, obviously, Gator fans, they want to win, and they want to win now, just like most fan bases in the SEC. Yet, Tate, the vibe I get, and I'm curious your response, I think Florida fans like Billy Napier, unlike perhaps maybe Jim McElwain. We'll check that. Unlike certainly Jim McElwain and even to an extent Dan Mullen. I think Gator fans like Billy. They see the direction of recruiting, like you said. So I think even if this season is, heaven forbid, 5 or 6, 7 loss season, my gosh, I think Florida fans might be a little bit more patient with Billy than other coaches just for the simple fact that they like him and they like the direction the program is going in. What's your thought there?
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I think I'd add the fact that, you give Gator fans an option, right? Would you rather go 10-2 in Billy Napier's first 2 years, a la Dan Mullen, and then all of it fall apart because the foundation's not there? Or would you rather have a little bit of patience and maybe have to stretch 2.5 seasons in order for the foundation to get, laid the right way, and then go 10-2, 11-1, get to those big time games, those New Year's Day bowl games, the SEC championship, and the possibility of, getting in the college football playoff? I think to me, Gator fans, one, have to understand that college football has changed a lot since the BCS success, since the 1990s and Steve Spurrier era. And with the college football playoff, there's a lot more potential for teams that are maybe a one-loss team, two-loss team even to get in. And I think that it's just one of those things. Like I said, you can pick your poison, but if it's me, what you have to have is the foundation has to be laid. And when you look at Billy Napier and the kind of person that he is, the kind of program that he runs, he's a hell of a CEO. He's got a great support staff around him. There's obviously a heavy emphasis put on recruiting, as there should be. And I think it's only going to be a matter of time before he really, really starts to convince 4 and 5 stars to come in, and he'll build this thing up if he's given the time.
Former Gator tight end Tate Casey. Tate, final question. Look, I am by no means comparing next Thursday night to you guys against Ohio State for the national championship, so I don't want to even act like I'm making that comparison. But the similarity from the Netflix documentary to what I know is going on in Gainesville, and I'm sure you've heard the same thing, and talking to people around that program, Florida coaches are beating it into their players' heads that nobody thinks they're going to win next Thursday. And they're beating that over and over and over the entire fall camp. Nobody thinks they're going to win. You guys don't have a chance. Utah's going to just buzzsaw you, this, that, and the other. Goodness only knows what's being told to those players. Is it media guy that thinks that's motivation, or is that something real, Tate? Is there a motivating factor when all you hear for the last month is that you're going to get crushed on opening night?
Yeah, it may be a sentiment that's delivered a different way. I don't think any coach is going to sit there and tell you guys are going to get killed. Now, if you don't prepare, you're going to get beat, right? You're playing a great team that is a well-coached football team. It's notorious for being a well-coached football team. Since the departure of Urban Meyer, right, Kyle Whittingham has had that team on just autopilot. I know they're banged up a little bit here and there. I think there's more being made out of that than should be. I got a feeling that Kyle Whittingham's a good enough coach that he'll probably keep that close to the vest as long as he can and make them prepare a little bit. But I think when you look at this matchup, if you're Florida, you've got to take a next step at some point in Billy Napier's tenure, right? Last year, I felt like Florida did not play well enough to win the game. And then obviously a couple of great plays on defense sealed it for them. I think if you're Florida, you've got to come out on defense. And my biggest goal in this game is to see Florida defense come out on fire. Like, we have to see a completely different defense than what we've seen since 2020. There has to be a lot of accountability. I want to see leadership, because we haven't had that in the locker room on defense in a while. A true form of leadership. And then you've got to have Graham Mertz manage the game. You don't need him to be Superman. And Graham Mertz doesn't need to come out and run a 4.3 40 and rush for 150 yards and throw for 350, right? We need him to come out and manage the game, make good decisions, put the offense in the perfect situation, see the defense, hand the ball off, and they've got a great enough run game and a couple veterans on offense. They can win games as long as our defense is playing.
Florida and Utah 1 week from tomorrow night to open the season. The game will be heard right here on 1010XL Radio, and you will hear Tate Casey on the sidelines all season long on the Florida Gator Radio Network. Hey, Tate, know you're busy with the documentary coming out and the game next week. Thank you for taking time out for us, brother. We'll talk again soon.
All right, Greeny, I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later.
There you go, Tate Casey. Always appreciate him joining us. That was late last week here on Hacker After Dark. In fact, Florida, I know Tate's already out in Salt Lake City. Their travel plans changed due to the storm, and I want to say they went to Dallas today. Most of the team did, and then they're going to fly from Dallas to Salt Lake City tomorrow, and then the game Thursday night, 8 o'clock right here on 1010XL. And week 1 in college football, it's a pretty decent week, right? You could argue the 2 biggest games in the entire country involve Florida and Florida State, with Florida taking on Utah, of course, Florida State and LSU Sunday night in Orlando. You also have North Carolina, South Carolina. You got West Virginia, Penn State, Tennessee and Virginia, Ohio State, Indiana, Minnesota, Nebraska. So there's some good ones. Clemson and Duke, an ACC opener for both on Labor Day evening. So we'll talk about all of them with my friend Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News. You also get them weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. I will tell you, the hurricane, the latest advisory is coming out in about 20 minutes. It's up to 110 miles an hour, a Category 2. Again, it's more of a Tallahassee issue, more of an issue down I-10. In fact, Denmark, I told you this, my stepdad has a farm, or we always talk about Brantford, Florida, right? Well, he's about 35 miles roughly away from Cedar Key, which is where Jim Cantori is of the Weather Channel, right? And if Cantori is 30 to 35 minutes away from your house, let's just hope for the best. So hopefully the farm makes it through. But you never like to see Cantori that close.
No.
To your property. There's no question about that.
No, you want no storm surge and less wind.
Yeah, storm surge won't be an issue that far inland, but the wind will be and the rain will be, certainly. Quickly, the high school spotlight's coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Denmark is a high school coach on the Baldwin staff. What has your last 24 hours been like?
It's been all over the place. We were told that we're playing Friday, then we can't play Saturday, and we can't play Saturday. And, I mean, it's been a whirlwind. I was telling you before I came in today, it seems like yesterday afternoon was forever ago from all the information that's changed. But it seems like most of the games at least can have the option to play Friday, Saturday. Duval County, it's not official. But it looks like they're going to let us practice Thursday afternoon, and we can play some of our games Friday. And then in our case, we're going to play Saturday. So at least we can get the game in and not to worry about rescheduling it down the road.
Oh, the crazy thing, like the Mandarin Bowls game, the one we're going to have on 1010XL Friday evening, they moved it this afternoon to October 19th, and that was set in stone for about 90 minutes. And then come to find out they were thinking about moving it back to Friday night. Then they ultimately did move it back to Friday night. So as it stands right now, we will have Bowls and Mandarin, and what should be a great game, coming up Friday evening on 1010XL, and we will do the Friday Night Lights postgame following the conclusion of that. In fact, Mandarin head coach Toby Bullock will join us in the 11 o'clock hour on the high school spotlight. But week one of college football takes center stage right now. My friend Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News. You've heard him with me on the radio for years. Let's talk Florida, Utah. Let's talk Florida State, LSU, and the other big games nationally. And let's do that with Brent Beard next. Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Tailgating around the clock.
Either way, we ought to have a lot of fun, huh?
Sports are made for celebrating. With 1010XL.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein & Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
Mia here, and I want to talk to you about something that will transform your life. With Motto Clear aligners, only available at Aspen Dental, you can now achieve a beautiful smile with doctor-directed care. And for an affordable price, Motto is the smarter way to straighten your teeth. Start today and get $100 off with their Summer of Smiles event. What are you waiting for? Visit aspendental.com/Motto Aligners to find a location near you and take the first step toward creating your new smile.
Hey guys, this is David Garrard, and I want to tell you about Clearwater Irrigation. They put my new sprinkler system in my new home at Jack's Beach, and I couldn't be happier. Oh, hey John.
What's up, Dave? You know what this means. You're going to have to sing.
Man, I can't sing.
Then you'll fit right in, buddy. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. Hit it, Dave.
And drainage, too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
Life a little expensive right now? If you need cash, Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach is ready to buy. Gold, silver coins, and flatware, guitars and guns. Beaches Jewelry and Pawn wants to buy them. See Chuck and get extra cash only at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On August 29, 2018, Aaron Rodgers signs an NFL record contract extension with the Green Bay Packers, 4 years worth $134 million.
Mark Watson for Hardball Creative, letting you know that Hardball has cooler promotions, but some people call them ice chests. Either way, check out the items you can put your company logo on at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics, and look, I can't make it any simpler. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. You've got to reach out for a free consultation at 904-274-5522 and make an appointment at one of their branches, Mandarin or Ponte Vedra. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are astonishing. Finally, there is a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522.
Attention golfers, Hidden Hills Golf Club has become an attractive destination for golfers all over North Florida. You too will enjoy our classic Arnold Palmer design that'll test your game and keep you coming back. Book a tee time today at hiddenhillsgc.com.
Are you an experienced automotive technician and tired of working for employers who put profit over people? Then come to Action Transmission on Merrill Road and get trained on how to diagnose and rebuild today's complex transmissions. See how we're different. Get traction on your career and come to Action.
Equal opportunity employer.
Oakleaf people, the best wings in town are coming to you. Players Grill is expanding and opening soon in Orange Park. Watch your favorite teams and enjoy burgers, pizzas, salads, and more. Players Grill, where the neighborhood meets.
Small Cakes has big news. Jacksonville's favorite cupcakery and creamery is growing, opening its third North Florida location in Mandarin very soon. If you haven't been to Small Cakes yet, you are in for a big treat. Small Cakes serves delicious cupcakes, cookies, ice cream, and brownies in a modern and elegant space. Small Cakes also creates cakes for birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, corporate events, and any special celebration. With daily specials each month, you'll always find something new to try. Visit smallcakesjacks.com to learn more.
Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying. They can also signal a major problem or electrical emergency. So leave it to the pros and Mr. Sparky.
888-8 Your on-time electrician, Mr. Sparky of the First Coast.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Let's ring up another guest on the All-Pro Roofing phone line.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Tuesday evening, and we are glad you are with us. We are inside of 48 hours till the Florida Gators kick off their season out in Salt Lake City against Utah. Of course, you can hear that game right here on 1010XL. Florida State LSU down in Orlando, certainly the game of the week in the country. And then you got other good ones, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, among many others. And with that, you know, Jack Youngblood played through a broken leg. Willis Reed made that magnificent return to the Garden there in the NBA back in the 70s. And nothing was going to keep Brent Beard away from week one of college football, not even a sinus infection. Brent is playing hurt, but he's with us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, sir?
Well, once the Z-Pack kicks in and all the other stuff they gave me, I think I will be doing fine. But no, you just cannot miss week one. Certainly, look, our prayers go out to all of us with the storm that's coming, Hack. So for safety for everyone, hopefully it will move through very quickly. And I bet you've thought about this like I have. I'm really glad that this Florida-Utah game is in Utah instead of Gainesville.
Yeah, it would complicate things immensely if it was in Gainesville. And truthfully, if the Florida State game was in Tallahassee, it looks like it would complicate some things, but it's not. It's in Orlando, so it appears both games will certainly get in. All right, Brent. Again, you see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Let's dive in. We're 48 hours away, actually less than that now, from Billy Napier's second year on the job in Gainesville. We've talked the entire offseason about Florida and Utah and how not many people give Florida a chance to win this game. Brent, I got to tell you, man, I still think I'm picking Utah. I'll make my official prediction, I guess, tomorrow. But a month ago, I was certain Utah was going to win this game. 2 weeks ago, I was pretty sure they were going to win. I think they're going to win now. As we get closer, I'm starting to have second thoughts. Your thoughts on that?
Same thing. But I know everybody's fixed on Cam Rising, and I get that. And we don't know exactly who is going to play at quarterback. Now, Bryson Barnes does have some experience, the quarterback who we think is going to play. But again, if Rising, his legs are important to him, if he can't go or if he's not very confident, that's a real issue. So really, this gets back to the line of scrimmage. Utah is a very physical football team, and if folks don't believe that, Google the USC-Utah Pac-12 championship game of last year. USC wanted nothing to do with Utah toward the end of that game because they just dismantled them. So, heck, my thing with this game is, can Florida block and tackle with Utah? Because they're a very physical football team. Kyle Whittingham's done a great job with them. I do think that Florida is going to play well. I think they'll play better than people think they are with Graham Mertz. And right now, it's really the key to the game is who has a better running game, who can make some hay with that, with the offensive line. So I'm kind of with you. I'm looking at this as Florida probably loses by a field goal or so. Now, Rice-Eccles Stadium has been very good to Utah. That they're very susceptible when they're away from home, but at home they're really good. I don't think the altitude will make that much of a difference. They've got a plan for that. They'll be better. But again, heck, it's Utah's physical. Can Florida handle that? So to me, I'm taking Utah in a close one, but it's not going to be the end of the world if Florida loses this game because there are big games coming against Tennessee in a few weeks.
You know, the one thing about Graham Mertz, and I know Florida fans are lukewarm on him, but he will not be intimidated in there, all right? I mean, he's been to Ann Arbor, right? He's been to Columbus, Ohio. He's been to Happy Valley. He's played in some huge environments in the Big Ten. I don't think he will be intimidated. Having said that, Brent, Florida needs to survive the first quarter because I do think that place will be an insane asylum Thursday night. The first SEC team ever in Salt Lake City, national TV, Fowler and Herb Street on the call. I mean, it's a big deal for the University of Utah, and they're going to come out unbelievably fired up. Florida's got to survive the first quarter. If they do that, they have a very good chance.
Well, and see, to make up your point, over 70% of Florida scholarship players are in their first or second year at Florida. So this is a new environment for them all the way around. But they've had a chance to work on it. They've had a chance to fine-tune their plan. And I've got enough confidence in this Florida staff to where I think they will be very capable of being able to win this game. And look, I'm not saying last year was a fluke. I think they had a good plan. Richardson was able to use his legs, and they won the game. But the thought has come up, if Florida wins this game, can you imagine what that momentum is going to do for them?
Oh, it would be huge. There's no doubt about it. Look, because they're an underdog, there's not a lot of people picking them to win. And if they go out there on national TV and win a game in Salt Lake City, that will be enormous for Billy Napier and on the recruiting trail as well. It'll kind of justify that top 5 class that he's building there in the class of 2024. Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him right here weekly on Hacker After Dark. Brent, the game you will be at Sunday in Orlando, Florida, probably the biggest game of the week nationally, a battle of top 10 teams, LSU and Florida State. Of course, this is the rematch from the game in New Orleans last year that ended so crazy on a blocked extra point that gave Florida State the win at the end of regulation. Your thoughts on the Tigers and the Noles Sunday night in Orlando?
Yeah, and to me, the biggest thing that Florida State's got to do in order to win, they've got to block Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins, arguably last year, was the best defensive player in the league. So they're going to move him around. And you don't know where he's going to be on every play. You've got to count for him on every play. Mason Smith will not play. Obviously, he's been suspended. And Mason Smith, again, some LSU beat writers have said Mason Smith is the best player on that team. I don't mean Jaden Daniels. I mean, they said Mason Smith, which is a mouthful. Frankly, he's a defensive lineman that tore his ACL early in the first quarter last year. So LSU will have plenty of fans. The game of being in Orlando is not going to make that much difference. Frankly, FSU's also got to count for Jaden Daniels. That's going to be very, very important. I still think right now that LSU has got the better roster, and I think they will win a close game. But as well as FSU is playing right now, it certainly wouldn't surprise me at all if they were able to win the game. A lot of that would be dependent on obviously how well Jordan Travis plays. Keon Coleman is a transfer they got that complements Johnny Wilson very well. Wilson 6'7", Keon Coleman 6'4", so that's really going to be amazing, frankly. But again, like the Florida game, this comes down to blocking and tackling, and it's going to be tough to. The key matchup is going to be that FSU offensive line that has the most starts of any offensive line in the country. That's hard to believe, but that's where they are. Is blocking Harold Perkins in that LSU front seven. So I think we're going to be wildly entertained, Sunday night coming up around 7:30.
No, I agree, and we need to go quick here because there's a couple other games I want to hit on. So quickly, Brent, when Florida State and LSU, when I talk to their fan bases on social media, they know this is not an elimination game. And what I try to tell them is this.
Yes.
LSU, I think, can survive a loss more than Florida State. And what I mean by that is if Florida State were to lose on Sunday, they're not eliminated from the playoff contention, certainly. But I don't know if they have any more room for error, Brent, because I don't know if a 10-2 ACC champion could make the playoff, whereas I believe a 10-2 SEC champion could make the playoff. So to me, if Florida State loses, that might be their only mulligan for the entire year. What's your thought there?
Well, and I've said this for months now. If FSU loses, they can make it up by beating Clemson. It puts more emphasis on the Clemson game, is what it does, in September. But here's the reality of it. I still would say even an FSU loss to LSU, FSU may play Clemson twice because they've done away with divisions.
Yeah, and I wouldn't like their chances to beat them twice. That's my thought.
Yeah, but I would agree with that. But frankly, if they can win 1 out of 2 against Clemson, that still might be enough, according to the committee, to get in.
That would be interesting. Again, with a 12-team playoff beginning next year, completely different scenario. But a 4-team playoff, if you're going to tell me right now a 10-2 ACC champion gets in, I might scratch my head right now. We'll see how it plays out. But to me, probably a bigger game for Florida State on Sunday in Orlando. You will be there. We're looking forward to hearing all about it next week here on Hacker After Dark. All right, let's just hit a couple more of these big national games, Brent. A Battle of the Carolinas. This is where game day will be on Saturday. North Carolina and South Carolina in Charlotte. Certainly some conference bragging rights on the line.
Yeah, really nice game. Two great quarterbacks in Drake May and Spencer Rattler. Here's the key to this game in a nutshell is Gene Chizik is the D coordinator in North Carolina. They were terrible last year defensively. Will they be better is going to be the key there. Now, Rattler and Antoine Wells are a good combination. They've got some transfer tight ends in. So, and they've got a new offensive coordinator, Dwell Loggins, in South Carolina. That's going to help them. But still, the bottom line is, can their offense take advantage of North Carolina's really defense that's still probably pretty average?
Big game, I think, for Shane Beamer. I mean, the way they ended the year last year, beating Clemson, beating Tennessee, right, having that epic bowl game, even though they came up a little short against Notre Dame, it was a fantastic bowl game. They have the opportunity to keep that momentum with a win over North Carolina. To me, Brent, a loss by the Gamecocks to the Tar Heels might stymie some of that momentum, so we'll see. High noon on Saturday, does Virginia have anything for Tennessee?
No. No, this will be a blowout, frankly. Now, look, Virginia obviously losing the players they did last year, the three players, horrific shooting. They're still dealing with the impact of that. Tennessee. Now, there is something really important to look for here is the reality for Tennessee is going to be Cooper Mays, their center. He has been out most of the summer, most of summer camp. He has some kind of procedure. They haven't talked much about it. But that's the most important person on that offensive line. Can he come back? How quickly can he come back? And if he doesn't, will he be ready for Florida? So there won't be any suspense in this game because Tennessee's significantly better. But your reality is, and will we see Tennessee's defense with some improvement? And who will be at center for Tennessee? Those are two things to watch in this game.
Final moments here with Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News. You get him weekly on Hacker After Dark. Brent, as we make the turn for home, quickly, Miami on Friday night plays Miami of Ohio. Now, Miami of Ohio thought it was a good idea to start running their mouths in the media about there being the real Miami. I'm not sure if that was a good idea. Do the Hurricanes have any problems with them on Friday night?
Well, Brent Gabbert, the Red Hawk quarterback, said the real Miami is in Ohio. And this is Blaine's brother, I understand. So that will be on the bulletin board. The thing I want to see with them, Shannon Dawson is the new offense coordinator. They're going to run an air raid. Will the offense be better? I think it will. They've got some important transfers on the offensive line. And will the defense be better? So I do think Miami wins. I think they probably can end up winning comfortably. But like you said, heck, they don't need to stumble and bumble in this game like they did last year, do they? They need to come out of Friday night not only healthy, but with giving their fans some hope that this is going to be a better year.
No, there's no question about it. And keep in mind, Middle Tennessee last year went in there and beat them. So I guess you shouldn't count the chickens before they hatch. No disrespect to Miami of Ohio. This will be a good test for the Hurricanes if they put the Middle Tennessee situation last year behind them and take care of business against a group of 5 team. Finally, Brent, Georgia can name their score against Tennessee Martin, but what are you looking for out of the Dogs on Saturday?
Well, you certainly want to see how Carson Beck does. I think he'll be fine. My main concern for them right now would be Branson Robinson, running back, is out for the year. Kendall Milton has a hamstring. Dejon Edwards has an MCL. and frankly, they could probably line up Brock Bowers in the backfield and be fine, couldn't they, Hack? But this would be an easy win. But there is, I think, a little bit concern about who is going to stand in at running back. But there are just way too many weapons. Here's a name to watch for in that game: Dominique Lovett, the Missouri transfer, has been incredible for them. Big pickup for Georgia. Watch and see how he does on Saturday afternoon.
You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. A sinus infection was going to keep this man down heading into week 1 of the college football season. Brent, go rest up. Enjoy your time in Orlando for the Florida State LSU game. And we'll certainly have a lot to react to next week and to preview as we start diving into week 2 of the college football season. Thank you, my friend.
Always, brother. Take care.
XL brings you Bulls Bulldogs football.
I'm Coach Tobin of the Bulls Bulldogs, and our first road game is Friday night at Mandarin. You'll hear the play-by-play on 1010 a.m.
Whether you are looking for a job or an employer trying to hire, there's only one stop in Jacksonville, Remedy Staffing. Labor trends keep us guessing. As employers, the job market's been strong. So what does that mean for workers' availability? If you're interested in the workforce solutions or how the Remedy team can help you, call or text Crystal at 904-329-9802. 329-9802, Remedy Staffing.
You dream it, we build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Gather the family when it's time to retire. Enjoy the warmth of a cozy fire. Now we're cooking in the great outdoors. That's what outdoor kitchens are for. You dream it, we build it. CSS.
The following people are under the influence of no air conditioning.
Oh, man.
Is it ever hot? I can't get up. My legs are stuck to the chair.
Can guys go through menopause?
Why?
I think I'm having a hot flash.
Don't let no AC happen to you. Call Duck Duck Air Conditioning, available 24 hours a day, and they'll fix it right the first time. When your AC system needs a repair, it's time to call Duck Duck Air, 904-862-6769, or online at duckduckac.com. Duck Duck Air Conditioning, a division of Duck Duck Rooter.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyriq.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Men suffering from ED or PE, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. For a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. You'll even get a gift that enhances performance in the bedroom. Call 904-664-8217.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
When you choose J-Dog Junk Removal, you're not just hiring a junk removal service. You're investing in a company that believes in making a lasting impact on the lives of our veterans and our community. J-Dog is dedicated to giving back to our local veteran organizations. They have donated over $50,000 in materials and services, ensuring that these valuable organizations have the resources they need to support our veterans. J-Dog Junk Removal, veteran-owned, veteran-operated.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Do you have a VA loan? In this housing market, homeowners with VA loans have access to a ton of instant cash. Hey, it's Prosser here. Do you need cash to pay off credit cards and other high-interest loans? Does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound about right now? Well, Loan Pronto is helping veterans every day get the money they need with a quick and easy zero-cost cash-out refi with zero closing costs. With a VA loan, it's really cool because you can access up to 100% of your home's value. Use that money to pay off credit cards, home equity lines, car loans, consolidate all your payments into one check per month, and close in 2 weeks. Most homeowners who do this end up cutting their overall monthly payments by $800. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They're doing loans with super low APRs, and they love working with veterans. Call now to see what your options are. Call Loan Pronto at 999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars, protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Time now for Hackers High School Spotlight on Hacker After Dark.
And welcome into the High School Spotlight, 1010XL and 92.5 FM as Week 2 of the high school football season is on the horizon. Boy, what a Week 1 it was. Big-time wins, big-time performances, and that was certainly true down at Baldwin as they got off to a big start with a 40-3 victory over the Wolfson Wolfpack. They will be in one of the games of the week coming up this Friday night, taking on Bradford County. Rob Shields is the head coach of Baldwin, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Coach, how we doing?
Doing pretty good, Hacker. How about yourself?
Hey, Coach, we're good. What a performance for you guys on opening night. A game that didn't even go all 4 quarters due to weather, but boy, I imagine you saw what you needed to see in a dominating win over Wolfson.
Yeah, we did what we needed to do. There's plenty of mistakes to correct, but everybody's healthy. We got the W, and so we'll make the corrections and move on.
You know, in talking to people around the Baldwin program, look, it's one game at a time, obviously, but let's be real. I mean, you know, that Bradford game has probably been circled for some time for you guys. How excited were you to go out and perform against Wolfson the way you did, so now you can definitely turn that page to Bradford County?
It's always nice to get up, start 1-0, and now we get to play a Bradford team coming in, from a Final Four last year. They beat us 35-0. They're extremely well coached. Coach Rogers and those guys do a great job getting those kids ready. You watch the film on defense, they're just impressive with how they run the ball and how fast they are. And we've definitely got our work cut out for us against them.
We'll get to the game in a moment, but obviously there's a storm that appears to be coming. We don't know the direct path. We don't know the implications here locally. But as a high school football coach, you and your staff, what are you doing this week as far as, well, first off, I guess practice, but even more so providing these young men guidance and making sure them and their families are okay?
As far as practice goes, today's Monday, so we'll go our normal practice. We'll, make corrections, install the game plan, and try to do everything we can to get ready. The question mark, is going to be Tuesday. And, our district and all the districts across the state right now are making the tough decision of, are we going to have school tomorrow? And if so, we have after-school activities. And, we got to give kids and families time to prepare, because what I've seen is it looks like we're going 75-mile-an-hour winds and 95-mile-an-hour gusts in our area if the track holds true. And, so obviously we need to make sure that our families are taken care of first and, everybody gets their house in order. But having said all that, if we do come to school, we're probably going to practice first thing in the morning just because the usual Duval County plan is to have school and then no after-school activity. So that's kind of what we're leaning towards right now.
And I guess, there's nothing good about this, but I guess the silver lining from a mere high school football perspective, is you've done this for a while. This is something you're kind of accustomed to, right? August, September, the hurricanes have been pretty prevalent here as of late. So I know that you guys have had experience in these situations.
Unfortunately, yeah, I think every coach is experienced, and usually the first thing you do is look for the bye weeks. Our bye weeks don't line up because I'm sure they were thinking the same thing because that'd been too easy just to hey, let's just move it to the bye. But obviously, we really want to play this game. It's a big game. They're 30 minutes down the road, a big money game. So basically, we're in our football wise, we're going to do as much preparing as we can do, and I'm sure they're doing the same thing. And on the county wise, I've got to rely on the leadership downtown to make the decision, and whatever decision they make is what we're going to go with because that's why they get paid the big bucks, and just go from there and just try to control what we can.
The head coach of Baldwin is Rob Shields. He's with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. It's interesting, Coach. Back to the game and the on-the-field product. For the longest time, right, we talked about Baker County and Bradford County to an extent. They've obviously both gotten very, very good as of late. And Baldwin, you guys are right there with them. I mean, that trio of Baldwin, Baker, and Bradford, you all play each other, right? It's a round robin. Odds are you're going to play some of them twice, right, in the postseason. I mean, it's kind of a cool story that all three of you, small town feel, big-time atmospheres on Friday nights, and man alive, three of the best programs in our area.
Yeah, it's definitely there's some definitely good ball being played in this area. It's kind of the same thing. They're all hard working mentality, blue collar. All three of us are physical, and just go out there and compete and just have fun. And it's always a good game.
What makes Bradford County, Coach? I mean, their defense, obviously, the shutouts last year, and what do they do opening night? They shut out Baker County again. I mean, it's incredible. When you watch them on tape, what makes their defense so good?
Their speed everywhere. They fly the ball. The DN number one, he's a heck of a player. I think he's a 3-star guy. All their run fits. If you're pulling, they're going to spill it and fill it, and they're just coached extremely well, and they don't make mistakes, and they don't give you any cheap ones.
Final moments with Rob Shields of Baldwin. On the flip side, your team is nothing to sneeze at either. A blowout win in week 1. You guys are a defending district champion. What do you like about your team heading into this matchup?
I like our speed on the edge. The big question is, can our offensive line give the quarterback enough time to get the ball in his hands and try to get the playmakers a chance to make plays in space? They're going to be tough to run the ball straight ahead at. And so, we've got to really attack the edges if we want to be successful.
And finally, as we wrap up, Coach, we always talk about, bragging rights in college football and to a lesser extent the NFL, but I think bragging rights might mean more, in high school than maybe anywhere. When you look at a small town feel, like you mentioned, 30 minutes apart, Baldwin and Bradford, these kids know each other. Odds are some of these kids played peewee football, maybe even middle school football together. I mean, bragging rights are a big deal in games like this.
Oh, definitely. You always want to win. There's no doubt about it. And it's definitely nice if you got to go drive through Stark and you got your ball when you're on the notice, you just kind of smile because you got one, or vice versa. They wear their gear coming through our town and know they get you. It's definitely fun to wear your brand in another town when you get a win against them.
That's what makes it great. Two good ones going at it this week. Jamie Rogers in Bradford County against Rob Shields and Baldwin, one of the best games of the night in week number 2. Coach, hopefully the game goes off Friday night. If not, we certainly understand, and we'll have to see where the schedule makers are able to put it. But we appreciate the time, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you, Hacker. Hopefully the weather helps us out and goes somewhere not near us.
He's St. Augustine's favorite son.
I've always admired diplomats.
And Jacksonville's favorite stepson.
It's the stories that you tell.
Joe Cowart.
So much fun and imagination.
Noon to 3 weekdays.
It's not what it looks like.
On 1010XL. Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The annual Knights of Columbus Hold'em for Life Poker Tournament is September 23rd at Blessed Trinity Parish Hall. All profits go to the Women's Help Center, supporting women in need, especially expectant mothers. To play or sponsor, call 868-8837.
You can be part of a fishing tournament with a real local impact. The Triple Challenge Fishing Tournament, Party, and Silent Auction benefits Young Life in the Beaches community. Learn more at JacksonvilleBeachesYoungLife.org.
To learn more about the Jericho School Golf Tournament and silent auction at Blue Sky Golf Club October 21st, visit thejerichoschool.org.
Make a difference on the golf course, playing one of the best tournaments and help make Jacksonville a safer place to live and raise our families. The First Coast Crime Stalkers Golf Tournament is October 23rd at Amelia River Club. Call 398-5883.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010xl.com.
Hey everybody, August is here, and you know what that means. It's the official start of Fantasy Football Drafting Month. This is Mike Dempsey, inviting you to get championship ready for your home league by trying out best ball leagues on Underdog Fantasy. All you do is one live snake draft with no waivers and no trades, and Underdog will set your best lineup every single week. Try it out with Underdog's Best Ball Mania Tournament. The largest fantasy football contest of all time is back and even bigger, with $15 million of total prizes up for grabs, including an absurd $3 million going to the winner. Last year, the winner drafted their team in July, so don't wait around. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store. Sign up with promo code 1010XL to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code 1010XL. You must be 18 or older and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
As your favorite football teams gear up for the season, so is the team at River City Lighting on Phillips Highway. Come in this week during their moving sale and score big-time savings with everything 40 to 70% off. This moving sale includes all lighting, fans, mirrors, fountains, and artwork. Hurry in today for the best selection and find the lights of your dreams at River City Lighting and the Fan Man on Phillips Highway, just north of 295.
Find the middle of the fairway with your drives. Get the golf tips and talk to keep you straight.
That's a great tee shot.
On the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
Atlantic Self Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Go fishing with Captain Kevin.
In the water.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.
Thursday nights at 6.
Oh, that's a fish right there, boys.
On 1010XL AM.
Hey sports fans, it's Hayes Carline for QC Kinetics, and look, I can't make it any simpler. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. You've got to reach out for a free consultation at 904-274-5522 and make an appointment at one of their branches, Mandarin or Ponte Vedra. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into your joint to restore and repair that damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are astonishing. Finally, there is a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there's no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulder, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522.
Are you a meat lover searching for quality cuts? Southern Steer Butcher uses a vacuum tumbler to marinate and tenderize our chicken and world-famous steak tips.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Time now for Hackers High School Spotlight. on Hacker After Dark.
And again, thank you to Rob Shields, the head coach of Baldwin, for joining us tonight on the High School Spotlight. Baldwin and Bradford County. That'll be a good one coming up this week. Another good one right here in Duval County is Bowles at Mandarin. In fact, you'll hear that game right here on 1010XL. The head coach of the Mandarin Mustangs is my friend Toby Bullock. They are coming off a big win over Fletcher, and he joins us here on the High School Spotlight. Coach, how we doing?
We're doing good, and it's always good Monday after a week one win.
Yeah, I imagine. And look, a dominating week one win. That's a good Fletcher football team. They have something like 38 seniors on that team. A lot is expected of them. And, boy, you guys kind of won that game going away in the fourth quarter last week. You must have been very pleased with the performance of your kids.
Really, really was. It was awesome to see. It was awesome to be a part of. And Fletcher and Mandarin has become a very big rivalry for both schools. And so to get the win, I mean, really, honestly, you know, when you've gone through what I've gone through, winning it any time is awesome. But yeah, against Fletcher is a really good win.
I mean, it's one win, obviously, and I know you've moved on to Bowles, and we'll talk about them in a moment. You got 9 more of these things at least to go. But with all the expectation that's on your team, all the Division I guys that you have, including your 4-star quarterback, your 5-star wide receiver, your DBs, your tackle that's going to Miami. I mean, you got some dudes on that roster. There are a lot of expectations on the outside about Mandarin. It must have felt good to go out there, have the talking stop for a couple hours, and put forth a good performance.
It does. You know, it's really interesting in all sports, but you get it at every level, and you see it more in college and the NFL. You'd be shocked, you know, when you don't perform like you want, all the messages you get on social media and through text messages. So it was nice to have an evening where the kids didn't have to worry about that. They could just have a nice and kind of be high school kids. You know, if the Fletcher kids got negativity on social media, I hope it was very limited. But it was very nice to not have anything with all the expectations we do have, you know, coming back in a negative form.
The head coach of the Mandarin Mustangs, Toby Bullock, here with us on the High School Spotlight on 1010XL in Jacksonville. All right, you and I are talking on Monday. This will air on Tuesday for the High School Spotlight. At the time you and I are talking, Duval County Public Schools have already announced they're closing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in anticipation of the storm. We don't know the exact path yet, but certainly we're going to get some of it, you would think, unless something drastic happens. But schools apparently are still open as of now on Friday. My question,
Correct.
Coach, is does that mean we're going to have football on Friday?
As far as I know, we will. As far as we know, I know that there's a holiday on Monday, so I'm sure that playing on Friday would be the preferred thing. I don't know that we can, even by Florida rules, don't quote me on that, play on a holiday. So it'll be interesting. You know, we won't be able to practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at the facility as a team. And I don't know what stipulations Bowles will have, but, you know, not using that as any excuse of anything. So if we play, we'll play, and hopefully we'll have the kids through prior knowledge and things ready to go. And, you know, maybe the couple of days off will give them, you know, their legs back and things, and maybe it could be a good thing. Don't know, never experienced it, so we'll see how it goes.
Would you feel confident if you only get one day of practice on Monday to play a game on Friday? I mean, everybody in Duval County, I assume, would be under those same rules, so it's going to affect everybody.
Well, it affects Duval County schools. I don't know how it would affect Bowles as its own entity, so I can't speak of how it would affect them. But I don't feel confident after 4 days of practice. I can't imagine my nerves after one day. So it would definitely be interesting. It would definitely simplify what we do. We wouldn't be able to, you know, maybe put in a wrinkle here or there. We'd have to be very, you know, vanilla, very basic, to what the kids hopefully have down to a muscle memory, and hopefully that'd be enough.
Toby Bullock is the head coach of the Mandarin Mustangs. Look, I can't remember the last time Bowles made the trip to Greenland Road, So that game is going to be played by heck or high water, I would imagine. That's your opinion on it, whether it's Friday night or whether it's later in the year. I mean, you want Bowles to come there at some point.
Yeah, I would hope it would happen. I really do.
And with that, I mean, the fact that Bowles, again, coming off a great game, but they lost in the final seconds. They're desperately trying to avoid going to 0-2. You're going to be playing what appears to be kind of maybe a desperate Bowles team on Friday night. I would imagine they're going to put a lot into this game.
Yeah, I think Coach Tobin. I mean, I know a lot of the guys on his staff, and I know him through passing and through the years. And there's not a team that Matt Tobin is the head coach of that I don't think take. I don't care if I was at the worst school in America. I think he would take it as serious as he would take, us right now. I would never take Coach Tobin for granted, ever.
What does it mean to Mandarin High School to have Bowles come into Greenland Road? That's a big deal over there, I would imagine.
Well, we love having home games. Coach Rado, our athletic director, and our principal, Ms. Bravo, it's a nice spectacle. It's high school football at its best. The environment, the stadium, everything that we have. Bowles coming to town. It's like the Ohio State of Jacksonville. It's Bowles. What Corky built there, and he's the winningest coach in Florida history, and it's Bowles. That's all you really got to say. It brings a different element in the air whenever they travel. They're the big fish reputation-wise in our area. Them and Trinity Christian. So when you have one of those two coming, it definitely makes it a bigger hyped game.
Well, I'll say this, and it kind of pains me from a Wolfson grad point of view. I know you were the former Wolfson coach, so I'm not putting words in your mouth, but seeing what Mandarin has become, the stadium environment, the atmosphere. You guys have one of the best atmospheres on Friday night. A big ball game like this, two of the best teams in Northeast Florida going at it, Bowles on one side, Mandarin on the other. That's going to be what high school football is all about, right? That's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
It is. It's absolutely what high school's about, and it all comes back down to our AD, Brian Rado. He's the one that sets that tone. He's the heartbeat of our athletic program, and it really is to have them come in and they're blue and orange, and us in our green and orange, and it's why you get into coaching. It's what you look forward to all year round. When you're the biggest show in town for a game like that, it's just an awesome feeling.
Final moment with Toby Bullock, the head coach of the Mandarin Mustangs. Coach, final question. You open up Fletcher and Bowles. All right, certainly you have a tough schedule, and if you want to make a run in the playoffs, you're going to have to go through some tough opponents down south. But I'm not sure if Fletcher Bowles, week 1, week 2, if it gets any harder than that locally. And I would imagine you like that schedule, knowing what lies ahead of you. You want to get your guys ready for that.
Well, they give you, both of them give you such a dramatic difference this year. You have both of them have two quarterbacks that are very good, two quarterbacks that are very different how they play. Tate is a runner, and we're going to see that, later on down the year. Fleming Island last year had a very mobile quarterback, and we saw a very mobile quarterback in the playoffs last year. And then you have, a RPO / pocket awareness guy, and coming over here and Bowles is quarterback, and their staff gets him ready to go. They have two very good receivers. Luckily, we have two very good DBs. So it'll be a really nice matchup there. But it'll test the kids. So often with young kids, the name of the school, like when you say Apopka, when you say Miami Northwestern, when you say St. Thomas Aquinas, that can give them five plays right off the bat of the game that, maybe you're just not, going as hard as you could because you're a little worried. Bowles has the same effect on people. So it'll be nice to have and see what we can do when they come in and see how we'll react to it. And if we're a little bit more mature with playing them from last year and having a close game and it coming down to the end and seeing, just how we react. And then also coming off a win, a big win, how we react from that.
You won't find a better game in the area this week than Bowles at Mandarin. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL as scheduled right now for Friday evening. Toby Bullock, the head coach of Mandarin. Coach, best of luck. We hope we're talking to you under the Friday night lights.
Hope so, too. Thank you so much.
The future is looking better.
The future's so bright, I gotta wear shades.
I gotta wear shades.
The home of Jaguars fans. 1010XL.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. Well, Jacksonville, as we turn the TV on in hopes of hearing something positive, we're hit with another mass shooting or murder on the local level. It seems to never end. We pray, we fast, and any number of other things. We do have to understand, as James said in the Bible, paraphrasing, prayer without works is dead. We as a community have got to get active to remove these individuals from our streets. How do we do that? Glad you asked. You can become a member of Mad Dash by calling 904-718-1649. We will train you on how to go to the streets to remove the individuals responsible for the crime from the community. We've got to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dash Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or maddashjacksonville.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular movement is key to so many health benefits. Aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Decide to only take the stairs if you're walking less than 6 floors. Never park in the first 10 spaces of the parking lot. Walk during your work breaks. Get up 10 minutes earlier in the morning and take a short, brisk walk before the chaos of the day starts. There are so many easy ways to stay active. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can now do it in less than a week. Hey, it's Prosser here, and that's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, or even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. And you don't even have to touch your primary mortgage, so you can keep that 3% rate intact. Just get the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Catch the Jacksonville Jaguars every day.
Jaguars Today from the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute studios.
With Mike Dempsey and Fat Tony talking teal every weekday from 10 to noon.
Jaguars Today
on 1010XL.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.
Window World,
simply the best for less.
And thank you for your business.
Men suffering from ED or PE, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. For a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. You'll even get a gift that enhances performance in the bedroom. Call 904-664-8217.
At ABBQ, they are turning up the heat this football season like no other. Picture this, 15 massive TVs strategically placed throughout the restaurant so you won't miss a single touchdown. Step into their huge outdoor area where the excitement of the game meets the fresh air. Here's the kicker, and this is a big one for me. They got the sound on blast throughout the restaurant for the whole game. Your destination for mouth-watering barbecue and an unforgettable game day. ABBQ, meet and drink with us.
The house is taking a beating this summer with all the in and out. Time to call Zero Res. Right now, Zero Res offering the hottest price of the year on tile and grout cleaning. Get your tile and grout cleaned and sealed for 25% off. Zero-res, man. Spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
The Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute is now offering online scheduling for new patient appointments for all of their physicians. Simply schedule your appointment on your cell phone, tablet, or desktop. JOI is the first orthopedic practice in North Florida to offer this feature to patients. To schedule your appointment online, visit joi.net and click on the button at the top of the page. If you'll be using insurance, be sure and have your information handy. JOI, where the pros go.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Time now for Hackers High School Spotlight on Hacker After Dark.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us as the high school spotlight rolls on. Week 2 of the high school football season will be interrupted to an extent Friday night with some cancellations and postponements, but we do believe there will be football played as well. We will get into that. Also want to recap what was a really exciting week 1 to kick off the regular season. With that, Justin Barney of Channel 4. He's one of our guys here on 1010XL, and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Justin, how you doing?
Not too bad, Hack. Thanks for having me. Great week 1, and unfortunately a slowdown in week 2 due to a hurricane, but that's par for the course in the fall in Florida.
Let's get right into that part of it first. Now, talking to some coaches, talking to some ADs, there are some postponements, certainly. A lot got announced earlier today, yet you were telling me the thought is there will still be some games on Friday night as well, correct?
Yes, there will be football on Friday night. No Duval County public schools will be playing Friday, so that's the big one right there, but there's still going to be football going on in the area on Friday night. It's going to be quite a bit of a modified schedule, though, so fans will still be able to see some football, but not a full slate of football Friday and what you'd expect in week 2.
And Justin, look, I mean, I've heard this from numerous people. Safety is the most important thing. We're still not 100% where the storm is going, but the way it looks now, and again, I'm by no means a meteorologist. I'm not trying to replace John Gahn or any of your fellas over there at Channel 4, but it does appear this to be more a Tallahassee situation, more 150, 200 miles away. We'll get some rain, we'll get some wind, no question, but it will be long gone by Friday, and I've gotten a couple of texts, why will there not be football in Duval County? Is that an easy question to answer?
Yeah, I think when you have shelters that are open at schools and the transportation and you don't know if the streets are going to be flooded and everything, and we've seen this before where the full slate of games is scrapped or significantly modified, and Friday comes around and it's beautiful weather. I remember when Trinity Christian and Bowles played several years ago after kind of the resumption of their rivalry after it had been dormant since the early 2000s, and it was basically the only game in town that Friday night. It was beautiful weather, perfect atmosphere, and it was an extremely crowded game. So I do think some schools that don't traditionally have massive crowds this week will have them on Friday night just due to the lack of other options in town. But I think you plan and you err to the side of caution, and when you're a big school system like a Duval County Public Schools and you got shelters and stuff to deal with, I think that's the big issue of so many moving parts, and you don't want to complicate it by maybe shifting some games around that definitely don't need to be played with so much uncertainty.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, how complicated will it be to get these games in, particularly if the two teams don't have the same bye week?
Yeah, it's something, you're going to be playing on a Monday or a Tuesday. We've seen some teams reschedule. So Bowles and Mandarin actually being played October 19th now. So just got word of that one. So it's good to see that one is going back on the schedule. Middleburg and Bishop Kenny playing on October 20th. So some of these games, these good games that we didn't want to lose, we're still going to get them. It's just going to be later on the calendar. So you do some shifting around, and if your bye weeks line up, that's great. But if not, you're playing on a maybe a Monday or Tuesday night of a traditional game week.
And again, these are non-district matchups, but still very important games. And the bottom line, Justin, is these coaches, these ADs will do everything they can because the kids have earned the right to play 10 football games at a minimum. You work too hard in the off season to have something like this cost you a week. So anything that can be done, right, will be done to get these games in.
Absolutely. And, with the new playoff system and everything, getting those games are significantly important, and the value is increased of, say for a Mandarin and Bowles situation, that's two heavyweights going head to head. That's going to help out with your, your strength of schedule and max preps ratings points. So it's significant to get these games in at all costs, or have that game replaced with a worthy adversary and a team of like record and credibility for just those playoff standings. And we've seen just how important that is come week 10 and 11 in those ratings points, and how much a game like a Mandarin Bowles can mean in terms of seeding and everything. So I think the coaches want to get them in, the ADs want to get them in, and certainly the players want to get that game in.
Justin Barney of Channel 4 here with us on the High School Spotlight, 1010XL and 92.5 FM. All right, Justin, it was a really interesting week one. The game of the night was over at Bowles last Friday, St. Augustine. Boy, Brian Braddock, 36-21, they're down. St. Augustine is in the fourth quarter. They come all the way back to tie it. They go for it on fourth down with under a minute to go. If they don't get that in a tie game, Bowles only has to drive about 30 yards for a game-winning field goal attempt. St. Augustine gets the fourth down conversion, and then moments later, a 35-yard, just unreal throw and catch for the game-winning touchdown. I don't know if you can have a play of the year in week one, Justin, but I don't think there's going to be many plays in our area that will top what we saw St. Augustine do last Friday.
Yeah, you're right. Lachlan Hewlett, a great game at quarterback for the Yellow Jackets, and the winner to Miles Simmons with 15 ticks on the clock. What a great game for Miles. He had 156 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Nearly 3 receivers go for 100 or more in that game. Carl Jenkins Jr. had 143 and a couple touchdowns as well. So just a great game all around by the Yellow Jackets offense, and Devontae Lyons out of the backfield, and just really a coming-of-age game for St. Augustine. I covered the game last year at St. Augustine, and Bowles just had its way with St. Augustine, ran up and down the field. Great defensive game last year for Bowles. And St. Augustine, I've said this early on in the year, I look at this St. Augustine team like a St. Augustine team of 2003, 2004, 05. The St. Augustine team has been starting a lot of freshmen and sophomores for the last 2 years, and they won a district championship last year. They went 7-4, lost the first round of the playoffs. You look at a 2003 team when guys like Brandon James and Jaquez Rickerson and Quentin Hancock and Matt Garris, all those guys were sophomores, and they go and they lose in the first round of the playoffs by starting those sophomores and getting them that experience early. By the time those guys were seniors, they were not only ready to contend for a state championship, but win a state championship. And that's what that 05 St. Augustine team did, 15-0, won a state title, and Coach Brian Braddock was down there that time as an assistant. So you've got that going for you if you're St. Augustine. And I don't know if this team will win a state championship by the time they graduate next year. That class of 2025 in St. August loaded, but I really like the parallels to that year's team and then this year's team. And man, they have got some studs on this year's team. And we saw that last week that these guys are not only ready to compete in these big games, but win them. That's their first win over Bowles since 1978.
A couple of more for Justin Barney of Channel 4, and it was a great game last week with St. Augustine defeating Bowles in that fashion late in the fourth quarter. Dominating performance by Mandarin. Look, Mandarin and Fletcher, it was thought to be a good game. I guess it was close till about the 8-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Mandarin pulls away, and Mandarin with a little bit of a statement last Friday.
Huge game for Mandarin, and I think for Mandarin it was, kind of validating the hype, validating what you did last year, that was not going to, be a residual hangover this season. Mandarin was 5-5 last year, and it just, you didn't have all the pieces together. And this year you got transfers in, you got those players back from last year who were legit last year and may have had some, may have been snake bitten in some games last year, lost some close ones. But that game last week, I think for Coach Toby Bullock and his players, Jamie French, Tramel Jones, Tiant Weiss, those guys, they went out and justified it and beat Fletcher 43-21. That was a game they won last year by just a touchdown, 27-20. So you go out, you have a great performance like that in week one, and now all of a sudden you're looking like, man, these guys, the hype is real. And I think last week, what it showed me about Manor last week is they're not going to be that one-dimensional team when you've got a 5-star receiver in Jamie French and a big-time quarterback in Tramel Jones. And you get a game where you have your 2 running backs combined for 4 rushing touchdowns, Deion White with 3 of those. And that shows just how difficult and how good this Manor team is going to be. And you put that running together with what's certain to be an evolving and exploding passing game. And this team is looking good, and that was a big test last week.
I thought last Friday was a huge win for Ribault, Justin. Ribault's a team that's trying to rebuild what they had. Not that they've been down necessarily, but certainly not to their standards for the last few years. And beating Sandalwood on opening night, a much bigger program, a much bigger student population. We had Coach Ram from Ribault on the Friday Night Lights, and you can tell just how fired up he was. To me, that was a big win for Ribault. What was your thought there?
Big win for Ribault. And, Ram's first year coaching the Trojans was last year, and he's been a guy who's been in that Ribault, Northwest Jacksonville community coaching younger and youth football. And, man, to get that victory last week against Sandalwood, and Sandalwood may not be the Sandalwood of 10, 15 years ago, but it's still a good, big program. Adam Geis is a good coach over there. He does well every year. So for Ribault, that was a statement game for Ribault too, that says, hey, we're not, we may be Ribault and we may have had some down years in the past, but we're not going to be defined by that now. And to get a win like they did in a defensive slugfest game, great start for Aaron Pinckney over there at Ribault.
Before we preview the Week 2 action, at least what action we expect there will be, anything else last week stand out? I thought Yulee maybe with a little bit of a statement. What was your takeaways from the games we haven't mentioned?
Yeah, I thought it was a good all-around week 1. And you saw a team like a Bishop Kenny come out and pick up where they left off, 38-20 over First Coast. I thought the St. Augustine game was really kind of a statement game for St. Augustine. You saw Bradford win 12-0, a little bit of a lackluster performance from the offensive side, but that's the Tornadoes' 10th shutout in their last 15 games. So that defense is going nowhere at all. They are back and they're loaded for another run. University Christian and Range, I thought was an excellent game. UC taking a heavy weight in week 1. I thought the Christians played very, very well, but just Range was so good. Mark Miller, running back for Range, really showed that he is going to be one of the better backs in the area this year. So I thought those were for some big takeaways as well. And even you got to mention a Creekside team, even in a loss, they put up 48 against Palm Beach Central, and a good game from an offense perspective. You put 48 points up, you expect to win, but you got to button up that defense. And I think that was a great showing for Creekside in week 1, playing a state semifinalist from last year. So a good win for Coach Sean McIntyre in the Knights, even in a loss.
All right, Justin, week 2, we know some postponements because of the storm, although like we said, your expectation is teams outside of Duval County may still try to get some games in. So what are you hearing? What are you thinking we'll see Friday night?
I think we're going to see a decent amount of games. And, outside of the Duval games, we've had St. Augustine cancel its road trip to St. Pete Gibbs. Oakleaf and Baker County canceled. So we're going to have a modified schedule, but we're going to see some games. So I think we'll have games in St. Johns County. I think we're going to have some private school games here in the area that on Friday night. So yes, it will be modified, but it's not going to be a complete loss like we've seen in the past from some of these storms.
And I got to ask you, as we say goodbye, you've been down to every Jaguar practice during training camp, the Jaguars preseason in the books, the dominating performance over Miami. Now all eyes point towards Indianapolis 12 days from now. What's Justin Barney's takeaway over the last 5 or 6 weeks with training camp and the Jaguar preseason?
I've loved what I've seen from the Jags, and being throughout training camp and seeing some of these guys perform. I think this is Jacksonville's deepest team in quite some time. So will be interesting to see how that translates to the regular season when we actually get these guys for 4 quarters and see what they do. But I think from a talent standpoint, you got to like what Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke are building over there.
Justin Barney of Channel 4. Justin, appreciate the time, my friend. We'll do it again next week.
Take care, Hack. Thanks for having me.
Now, today's takeaways, brought to you by Key Buick GMC, where our family dealership has been helping families buy vehicles for over 50 years.